Hello and welcome back to the Transform Awards North America 2025. Well, I'm joined now by Katie Osborne, who is the founder and principal wayfinding strategist of Via Collective. Thank you very much for joining me today. Now, obviously, you guys have been shortlisted in the best wayfinding or signage category for your work with New York University, specifically for the Martin Scorsese Virtual Production Center. Really, really exciting. Perhaps first of all, you could tell me about some of the key challenges and goals that you had when approaching this project.
The brief really focused on the idea of how you merge the traditional and very strong brand of NYU Tisch School of Arts with the location, which is in Industry City in Brooklyn, and this unique essence of a makerspace that's in that place. So how do you represent the brand of NYU while also addressing the unique visitor experience of this location?
And how did you do that? What was the strategy you adopted?
So there's clearly some really great deep connections with the filmmaking industry and Martin Scorsese. And so the concepts and the ideas that came out of this were really around what are the elements of filmmaking, light and focus and projection, color coding, districts, these kinds of ideas that you see in filmmaking. Even the materiality that we used for the wayfinding signs is really based in the filmmaking industry.
That's really fascinating. And tell me about some of those core principles of filmmaking and explicitly sort of what that ended up looking like in terms of the wayfinding and the signage.
Yeah, so for instance, the overhead signage has a soft glow around the illumination of the light of the letter forms, and they're hanging from these very beam-like structures. So it feels like you're in this filmmaking kind of location with these lights. Then also the gaffer's tape that we used on the floors there are 3 districts within this floor plate. And so the gaffer tape in 3 different colors is a nod to the elements and materiality of the industry and allows us to utilize the floor rather than strict overhead wayfinding signs. So there's not actually a lot of signage in this location. It's more about creating a branded space that connects the students to this film center space really based on film identity.
And what would you say is the ultimate takeaway kind of for the students and the faculty who end up using your work essentially every single day?
Yeah, they've been very excited. We did a tour for our professional organization, Society of Environmental Graphic Designers, or excuse me, SEGD. And we had about 40 participants come and we walked them through the space. NYU is very happy with the space. They are very excited about the visual connection to filmmaking, the simplicity of the design, and the unique characteristics of the ability for the students to connect very closely in a sort of a analytical way to these materials and sign types. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I wanted to ask you one very final question about perhaps the future of wayfinding. It's a really interesting time. Obviously, a couple of years ago, the metaverse was a massive thing, and there was talk about how that might impact this particular field, but also AI now. So how do you see things evolving in your industry?
It's so complex and it is so constant, right? The technology that people use to initiate their wayfinding journey that begins way before they end up in the space really happens online. So we're looking at different ways that we can connect people in that virtual world before they actually end up in the physical architectural space. It's complex, it's constantly moving. What I also am very deeply passionate and hold steadfast is that ultimately we are individual people interacting with individual people. And wayfinding is more than signs. It's this complexity of information and ways of connecting to a place. And so we have the signs, but we also have this digital technology and how virtual reality for somebody who might be nervous about flying can experience an airport before they get there, or somebody that is trying to understand like best possible connections can use AI to pull up an itinerary and the path that they're going to take within an airport, or different ways that people might be able to actually combine some of these technologies that I can't even think of at the moment. But in the end, ultimately, if someone is really lost or somebody just doesn't have the cognitive load at that moment to really figure out where they're going, for instance, they're at the hospital to visit their grandma and they're just really like overloaded, they just really need to connect with a person. So despite all of the incredible advancements in technology, we really stay strong with the idea that wayfinding still is this multi-complex components, and people are at the heart of wayfinding.
That's absolutely true. I think it's one of the most interesting areas of brand design. Katie, thank you so much for your time.
Certainly.
And best of luck tonight.
Thank you so much.